Welcome to the HOSA Activity Tracking System member tutorial. Today we're going to go over 3 recognition events and how you can use the HOSA Activity Tracking System to track your hours and money raised. Our first event that we will talk about is the Barbara James Service Award. Many questions that we receive are, do my service hours count? So here are a list of questions to ask yourself to see if your service hours do count toward the Barbara James Service Award. You may need to work with your chapter advisor to figure out the answer to some of these questions. But ultimately, your hours, if they relate to health and provide a service to the community and meet a need in the community, will count toward the Barbara James Service Award. The time frame for this event is from June 1st, 2014 to May 15th, 2015. States set their own state-level deadlines, so you'll need to check with your state advisor on what that deadline is. The national deadline is May 15th. 50 hours is needed for national recognition at the National Leadership Conference in Anaheim, California. If you're interested in receiving the Presidential Volunteer Service Award, you'll need to check with your chapter advisor on what you need to do to become eligible for that recognition.
Okay, so the next recognition event that you can use the HOSA Activity Tracking System for is the Medical Reserve Corps Volunteer Recognition Event. And this is for any volunteer hours related to MRC events. And similar to Barbara James, the time frame is June 1st through May 15th, 2015 for national recognition. And again, for your state-level deadlines, you'll need to check with your state advisor. The hours needed for MRC volunteer recognition is 30 hours total for nationals.
The National Service Project is the third and final recognition event that's using the HOSA Activity Tracking System. The time frame is from June 1st to May 15th, just as the other 2 events. All money that you raise for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society will go to your local Leukemia and Lymphoma Society chapter. Visit lls.org to see the address and the name that you should send your money to. All chapters who donate will also receive a thank you note from their local Leukemia and Lymphoma Society chapter. Chapters will track their hours and money in the new system, but you'll want to make sure that only one member enters the total dollar amount raised. And we'll talk about this whenever we go through the National HOSA Activity Tracking System.
Okay, great. So as a recap, this HOSA Activity Tracking System is used for 3 recognition events: Barbara James Service Award, MRC Volunteer Recognition, and the National Service Project. We have created instruction sheets, both for members, for you, and for your local chapter advisors. So now we're going to go step by step through the tutorial by starting at www.hosa.org. From this main screen, you're going to go to the top right corner to log in. This will take you to the registration login screen. From here, you're going to go to Member Activity Tracking System and click Enter Activities. Next, you're going to want to create an account. To do that, you're going to click Registration. And from here, you will enter your charter and your email. This charter and email address must match exactly what your local advisor recorded when they did the affiliation for your chapter. Then you will click Register. When you click Register, you will get an email from HOSA@hosa.org, and this email will have a link to the system. You will follow that link, and you will create a password that will be affiliated with the email address that you have entered right here. Once you create that password, you now have an account created. So now you can come back to the main screen, enter the email address, and enter the password that you just created, and then simply click Login. Okay, from here you're going to start entering information about the volunteer work that you have done. So first you're going to enter the date of the activity or the date that you volunteered. If you volunteered over a range of dates, say over 3 or 4 dates, you can just select one date that makes the most sense during that volunteer activity. In the activity box here, you're going to be entering a description of what you did. It needs to have enough detail so that your local advisor can read it and know specifically what you did, because they are going to be either approving this work or declining this work based on the description that you put in. So make sure it has enough detail to provide a full amount of information for your local advisor. Next, you can select from the activity code dropdown. You have, again, the 3 options for the 3 recognition events that we have outlined. So first, for MRC volunteer recognition, you would simply just type in the number of hours that you volunteered. And this does allow you to type up to 2 decimal places, so you have a little bit of flexibility. The same would be true for Barbara James Service Award. You can select that event, and then again, enter the total number of hours that you volunteered with up to 2 decimal places. If you did work for the National Service Project, you have a couple more options. If you simply volunteered hours, it's the same format. Enter those hours in the box up to 2 decimal places. If you did not raise any dollar amount or any money with that volunteer hours that you did, you simply have to put a 0 in this category so that it saves the place before you save this entry. If you did earn dollars and raise money, you can also type that in at the same time with the hours. And vice versa, if you raised money but you did not volunteer any time, you need to make sure you put that 0 in as the placeholder in hours. So once you've entered your activity, you simply click Save. You can see at the top you get a green bar that says the activity was saved successfully so that you know it went through. And then you'll see at the bottom of your screen, you'll see where the entry shows up. Right here, 11:19, National Service Project Activity Description goes here. So you'll see the entries that you have made. You can also see in the middle column which activity code or which recognition event they fall into. So you can see which ones you've entered for MRC, for Barbara James, or for the National Service Project. And you can see the total number of hours that have been entered and any dollar amounts for National Service Projects that have been entered. The final column on the right is important. This tells you which activities you have entered have been either approved or declined or are in pending status from your local chapter advisor. Right here in the green box, you can see that this activity has been approved by your local chapter advisor. Well, up a little bit further, you can see this one has been declined. So for any entries that have been declined, you'll want to talk to your chapter advisor to talk about why that was declined and how you might be able to fix that. For all of the entries that have delete next to them, that means that they're still in live or pending mode. Your chapter advisor has not done anything with them yet. So in this case, you still have the opportunity to delete or edit that entry if you need to. So if you see in this one that you made a mistake, you can click delete. You click, are you sure? You say, yes, I'm sure. I click OK. And then that activity was deleted. And if you needed to make a correction, you can go in above and enter the activity again. If you have more activities, more volunteer hours that you have done, you simply follow the process again, entering all of the same items, and they will again appear in this list. So throughout the year, you will enter your volunteer activities, and at any time you can log back into this account and scroll all the way down to the bottom of your screen or your page, and you can see all the activities that have been declined, that have been approved, and that are impending for each of the 3 recognition events. So from here, we're going to go back to, we're going to log out first, and then from the home screen, we do want to point out one other thing. If for some reason you do not have an email address or your chapter advisor did not create your email address with your affiliation, you can still enter activities. If that's the case, you would simply go to Activity Input here at the top left of your screen. You would type in your first name and your last name and enter your charter number. And it's important that your name and the charter must match exactly what your local chapter advisor entered in the affiliation process. And then the steps are the same. You enter the date you volunteered, your volunteer activity description, and you can select which of the 3 activity codes or 3 events you did, and the hours again, just like we went through previously. And when you click Save, again, you get the activity was saved successfully at the top of your screen, and you see that the entry that you just made shows up at the bottom. So the only difference with this method is that without having a registered account in the system, you're not able to log back in and see everything that you have entered. So you can enter as many activities as you'd like right now in this browsing session, and you'll always be able to see them here on the screen at the bottom. But once you log out and you close your internet, close this browsing session, you're not able to see what you've entered. Your local chapter advisor will always be able to see what you've entered, but you are just able to see one at a time. So that's the benefit of going through the process that we described in the beginning by creating that actual account, going through the registration, and creating a password for yourself. That will allow you to always be able to see everything that you have entered throughout the year. And we also would like to show you, we have created a couple instruction sheets, and Jen's going to show you where to find those.
If you go to HOSA.org, you'll be able to find the competitive event guidelines in one of two places, by going to Resources and Competitive Event Resources, or by clicking at the bottom of the page where it says Competitive Event Guidelines. You'll scroll to the very bottom of the page where it says Recognition Events, and you'll be able to find 3 links that take you to the same document, which are the member instructions for the activity tracking system. There you'll see screenshots and be given a step-by-step instruction guide on what to do next. If you have any other questions about the activity tracking system, feel free to call us at HOSA at 1-800-321-HOSA or www.hosa.org, or email us at hosa@hosa.org. Have a great day and good luck with your recognition events.